Caitlin Clark didn't just step into basketball. She stormed into it like a hurricane at high tide, dribbling past expectations and burying half-court threes before anyone could process her audacity. Dubbed the greatest rookie of all time in hushed awe and roaring headlines, Clark's rise wasn't the kind of story that unfurled gently. No, her journey was more like a shot clock countdown, quick, electric, and impossible to ignore. But with the spotlight comes shadows, and not everyone was clapping. In fact, some were downright raging. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Instant rage is the phrase best suited for the reaction of those who couldn't quite handle Clark's meteoric rise. Her accolades lit a fire under a certain subset of critics, sparking an inferno of envy, disbelief, and good old-fashioned haterade. Bullies, as they're casually referred to in today's jargon, began circling like sharks smelling blood. They weren't just frustrated by Clark's dominance, they were threatened by it. Her performance wasn't just exceptional, it was redefining what rookie greatness could look like. And that made her a problem for anyone clutching their outdated basketball hierarchy like a safety blanket. But Caitlin Clark didn't flinch. Not when the whispers of her being overrated turned into roars. Not when the critics tried dissecting her game as if their opinion could erase her stats. It was as if she saw the insults flying her way, shrugged, and responded by dropping 40-point games on her doubters like confetti at a championship parade. The thing about Clark was that her confidence wasn't flashy. It was grounded, the kind that comes from knowing you've put in the hours. That, and maybe a little bit of knowing you can shoot from anywhere and make defenders look like they're running in quicksand. Still, her confidence didn't sit well with everyone. There's an unspoken rule in sports. You can be good, but don't let it show too much. Clark. She shattered that rule like a backboard on a monster dunk. She wasn't just good, she was unapologetically great, and that kind of swagger doesn't always win you friends. For some, especially those nursing bruised egos, she became a target. And boy, did they try to take aim. The louder the chants for her greatness grew, the more they tried to drown them out with petty critiques and sideline drama. The bullying wasn't your garden-variety trash talk. It felt calculated, a desperate attempt to knock Clark off her pedestal. Some critics pointed fingers at her shot selection, calling it reckless. Others questioned her leadership on the court, as if dropping dime passes through double teams wasn't leadership enough. But the most baffling complaint came from those who argued that Clark's dominance wasn't fair. The idea that someone could be too good, too impactful, too influential. It was almost funny if it weren't so ridiculous. Yet in the chaos of the criticism, Clark's play remained pristine. If anything, the noise seemed to fuel her. It's as if every jab thrown her way turned into another three-point dagger. While others were busy counting her supposed flaws, she was counting her points, racking up triple-doubles like they were free samples. Her ability to tune out the nonsense and zero in on the gain was something to behold. She didn't argue with her critics, she outplayed them. Every pass, every shot, every defensive stop was a response, loud and clear. One of the most remarkable aspects of Clark's ascent was how she managed to make it all look so effortless. Her style wasn't just effective, it was entertaining. She had this knack for pulling off plays that didn't just win games, they made you stop and rewind the tape. And yet, for all her flair, there was a practicality to her game. She wasn't showboating for the sake of it. Every no-look pass, every deep three, had a purpose. It was artistry with intent, a combination so rare that it left fans in awe and opponents in agony. Of course, the Bullies didn't see it that way. To them, every highlight was another reason to pick apart her game. They accused her of being lucky, as if hitting contested threes from the logo was some kind of fluke. They argued she was overhyped, ignoring the fact that her stats were backed up by wins. But the thing about Clark was that she didn't need to respond to the noise. Her game spoke for itself, and boy, did have a lot to say. Clark's rise wasn't just about her stats, though they were jaw-dropping enough. It was about the way she played the game, with a mix of skill and swagger that felt both old school and brand new. She had the court vision of a seasoned veteran, the scoring ability of a pure shooter, and the mentality of someone who'd never been told she couldn't. It was this mentality that seemed to irk her critics the most. She didn't play with a chip on her shoulder. She played like the whole bag of chips belonged to her. The reactions to her dominance revealed more about her critics than about Clark herself. Their anger wasn't just about her. It was about what she represented. She was breaking molds, shattering ceilings, and rewriting the script of what a rookie could achieve. And that kind of change doesn't sit well with everyone. For those clinging to the status quo, Clark was a reminder that the game was evolving, and she was at the forefront of that evolution. And yet, amidst all the chaos, there were moments of levity. Clark's on-court mannerisms often carried a touch of humor, whether intentional or not. There was something about the way she celebrated a big shot, subtle but confident, like she knew the basket was going in before the ball even left her hands. Her expressions after pulling off an impossible pass were equally priceless, a mix of satisfaction and "did you really think I couldn't do that?" These moments added a layer of charm to her already captivating game. For all the rage she inspired in her detractors, Clark inspired even more admiration in her fans. She wasn't just a player, she was a phenomenon. Young athletes looked up to her, not just for her skills, but for the way she carried herself. She was proof that you didn't have to fit into a predefined box to succeed. You could be bold, you could be different, and you could still dominate. As Caitlin Clark's season unfolded, the noise from critics turned into a predictable background hum, barely noticeable against the symphony of her accomplishments. Game after game, she rewrote expectations, turning doubters into reluctant admirers and fans into fervent believers. Her play had an uncanny way of silencing a crowd before igniting it moments later. Opponents left shaking their heads as spectators roared in disbelief at yet another impossible shot or pinpoint assist. Even the bullies, who once seemed so loud and relentless, began running out of things to criticize. Her shooting percentage climbed, her assist numbers dazzled, and her defensive game silenced naysayers who had labeled her a one-dimensional scorer. It wasn't just that she was good, it was that she kept getting better, evolving with each game as if fueled by the very criticism meant to slow her down. Yet through it all, Clark remained steadfast. Her focus wasn't on proving anyone wrong, it was on proving herself right. That unshakable belief radiated in her every move, a quiet defiance against the chaos twirling around her. And with each record shattered and game won, one thing became clear. Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing basketball. She was changing it. As the season went on, the chatter around Clark didn't fade, it intensified. But so did her performance. With each game, she continued to raise the bar, proving that her early success wasn't a fluke but a foundation. The critics could rage all they wanted. Clark was too busy making history to care. And in the end, that's what made her story so compelling. It wasn't just about what she achieved. It was about how she achieved it, with grit, grace, and a little bit of humor. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.